Ching. If y'all three will start off this next panel. Before we do this, because we do have a number of students here, I don't know how long you're going to be able to stay here, but since you're here, could someone just identify what school you're?
We're from Lebanon.
From Lebanon. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. And then I think another group came in the back.
We're still from Lebanon.
Wonderful. Thank you all very much for being here, and please stay as long as you can. Who'd like to start?
Good morning, Chair Przanski, Vice Chair Thatcher, and members of the committee. My name's Angela Donnelly. I'm from Bend, Oregon, but I now live in Portland. I'm here in support of HB 4065 and to tell you how suspending someone's license can affect them and their family. My mother's had a suspended license for over 25 years. This has affected every part of our lives. At the age of 9, my stepfather had an aneurysm and ended up dying within a few weeks of his stroke. When his stroke happened in our home, he was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance with my mother following him, distraught behind in her car. On her way to the hospital, she got pulled over and got a speeding ticket. This was the first ticket she ever had. She had a completely clean driving record. So within 2 weeks, my stepfather had died, the love of my mom's life, the father of my baby brother, the owner of the business that my mom worked for, and the main provider for our family was gone. So this, as you can imagine, drove my mom into a deep depression, and life was a struggle for her and us kids. The last thing on her mind at this time was her speeding ticket, and I really don't think she even knew that or remembered that she got one. So death and depression obviously aren't something that you snap back from quickly or sometimes ever. And while she dealt with this death, she also had 4 kids to care for. She had to find a job, provide for our basic needs, get us to school, find to friends' houses, families' houses, after-school activities, and also provide emotional support for her kids who were struggling with this death while dealing with her own heartache. So we soon lost our home. We jumped from family members to friends' houses trying to keep afloat. During this time, my mom had to continue driving because she had to continue trying to survive. We lived in Bend, which in the 90s was a really small town with no public transportation. And in the winter, the snow piles up and it's really unwalkable. So when you live in a small town, the police know who's who, and they knew my mom's car. They knew my mom's car and that she had no license. So she regularly got pulled over, got more tickets, more fines, more time added onto her suspension. Most of the time, her car was impounded, and we were left on the side of the road day or night to try to find a ride home. So it didn't deter her from driving, though, because she had to survive and she had to take care of her kids. As you can imagine, the fees piled up to the point where she didn't know what to do and just realized that there was no way she could ever pay back the debt she had, all because she didn't pay one ticket that was under $100. As a child, I went through this experience with my mom. I was often subject to the trauma that comes from dealing with our systems. I still get sweaty palms when a cop pulls up behind me. I snap back to that childhood fear every time of being pulled over, hearing the police treat my mom with absolute disregard and shaming her, forcing us out of the car so that they can tow it and then driving away without a care for our well-being. It's real, and it happens to every one of us who aren't wealthy enough to pay our fines and fees. So having a parent with a suspended license made my life much harder. My mom didn't want to drive unless necessary, so I could barely make it to school functions. I had no one legally to teach me how to drive or ride in the passenger seat with me. So I couldn't even use my mom's car to take the driving test, and I ended up waiting years to get my license because of that. To this day, my mom still has a suspended license. Right now, my 59-year-old mom is riding her bike in Bend in the winter to work at night and home. A month ago, she was on her way home, and another person on a bike had a long pole on the back of their bike and it hit her. It hit her off her bike, and she broke a rib and bruised the whole side of her body. I spent years trying to get her license back. She tried to work with the courts, but they either won't offer an affordable payment plan or have such strict rules about missing a payment that she can't ever get it paid off. One of the courts she has a ticket in doesn't even exist anymore. Can any of you tell me how you pay a ticket or even make a payment plan when there isn't a court to contact? It's taken a lawyer and a legislator to help us to even start the process to get a hold of someone in that town. And we don't know if we can get that suspension removed, and we're just really hoping right now that someone will respond to us. I feel like my mom's one of the lucky ones in our state because I have experience navigating these systems, and I know how the government works, so I've been able to help her. There's no way that she could do this on her own. Even if she could get all the courts to work with her, the cost of these tickets has grown over the years to a point where no payment plan can get her out of the built-up debt. She's still low income and barely makes enough money to pay her monthly bills. Paying these payment plans would make her homeless and unable to support herself and my stepdad. So I'll end up paying those tickets back for her. Without someone like me on her side, she'd never get her license back. but this doesn't mean she's not going to have to drive for the rest of her life. So I want to be clear, my mom's not been unsafe. She has not done anything in a car to harm another person. Suspending my mom's license has not made a bad driver safer. She simply could not pay a fine that she got 25 years ago and has been in this system that's designed to keep those in poverty since. The ability to provide for your family is not a privilege, and removing how you do that by suspending someone's license for a minor ticket is not how Oregon should treat her citizens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Who's going next?
Go ahead, Chair. Good morning, Chair Brzezinski, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Matt Newell-Ching. I'm the Public Affairs Director for Partners for a Hunger-Free Oregon. This legislative session, I'm also representing Oregon Food Bank. An Oregon Food Bank on an average month serves an estimated